Good day, Junior Tikkie. This is Mrs. De Mailon speaking, and today we are going to continue with activity 5, but now we are going to focus on the posting to the general ledger and the debtors ledger from all of the journals. So just before we do this, just a quick recap on some of the theory. Remember that discount allowed is earned or granted when a debtor settles their account. So when you enter it into the CRJ, the bank figure is always the amount after discount. The discount allowed is the percentage discount, for example, 5% after 30 days. And the final debtor's control amount is the total owed by the debtor. Now, the posting is affected by this depending on the layout of the CRJ, but I'll show you both of the journals and how the posting is affected. Then we continue and we just recap on the posting rules. Now remember, if we do the posting rule from the debtors or receipts from debtors and discount allowed, you are working from the CRJ, so you will debit bank and credit all the other accounts, except then for cost of sales and discount allowed. So discount allowed and cost of sales is the exception because they are two expenses that we record in order to see what the discount was or what the cost is to calculate profit or to calculate the total owed, and that is why they are the exceptions and not linked to the bank amount because it will not include that bank. So when we post from the journal, if there is the two-column method, in other words, a receipt column and a discount column under the heading debtors control, you'll look at the first one, and that will then be this one for the bank CRJ and discount allowed. And then you will still debit discount allowed. With the alternative method, you will have one total. So that one total that you have there will be the one if you have the one column method where there's a debtors control column and then a separate discount allowed column. But I'll show you that in the next slides. Then just to recap on the posting rules from the debtors journal and debtors allowance journal. Remember, for debtors journal, we debit sales and debtors control credit sales, and credit trading stock debit cost of sales because it's a credit sales transaction, stock moving out. Then with the debtors allowance journal, we will do the opposite because it's the reversal of the credit sale. So we'll credit debtors control with debtors allowances, debit debtors allowances with debtors control, and then the stock is returned, so debit trading stock cost of sales, debtors allowance, and credit the cost of sales, reversing the cost of the sale because there was no cost or no sale. Then we continue now. So if we look at the posting of the CRJ, I have the two CRJs here with the one standard layout on the left hand side and then the alternative layout at the top right hand side. So if we first look at the left hand side, the standard layout, you will see that we have a debtors control account and a receipts column split, or debtors control split into a receipts column and a discount allowed column. And then the alternative method, you will see the difference there is that there's a one total debtors control account and a discount allowed account. So when we post first the standard method, we have to now post the receipts column to debtors control as a bank CRJ 38,050, and we have to post the discount allowed. So we'll debit discount allowed and credit debtors control with the discount allowed amount. Because the two columns are split, I post each column separately. And then with the alternative method, however, you will see that the debtors control is now the bank and the discount allowed together. Remember our second slide there, that bank figure plus the discount gives us the debtors control figure. So when we post it to the general ledger, you will post one total in your debtors control account, bank and discount allowed, 40,440. But that is then the total credit. So you still have to debit an account, and that will be your discount. So in the alternative method, you'll still only post your alternative debtors control to your discount allowed of 2,390. I hope that makes sense. So in other words, the discount allowed account stays the same for both methods. The difference comes in the debtors control account, where if the standard layout, you either now post it, or you post the two amounts separately, a bank figure for the receipts column and a discount allowed figure for the discount allowed column. But if there's a debtors control and discount allowed, you don't post the discount allowed separately into the debtors control account. It will already be included in the 40,440. So you'll only post that total of the debtors control column. Then if we continue and we now look at the entire ledger of all the ledger accounts, and we just look at the posting of the debtors journal and debtors allowance journal. First of all, I just want to bring your attention, this is the standard layout method. And how do I know that? Because of the bank and discount allowed being posted separately, like I explained on the previous slide. So now we're going to look at individual posting from the debtors journal. The sales column will be posted the debited or debit entry into the debit side of debtors control as sales, and the credit entry on the credit side of sales. Then the cost of sales, the yellow transaction, the debit entry is in the cost of sales account, and the credit entry is in the trading stock account as debtors control. And they balance out. And this is a sales transaction. That is why the trading stock decreases, because we sold stock and we have to record the cost of the sale because there is a sale that was implied. Then the debtors allowance journal, we will post the debtors allowances to the debtors allowance ledger account and on the debit side of 529, and it will go onto the credit side of the debtors control at the top there. Debtors allowances 529. The cost of sales column will post to the debit side of trading stock this time because stock was returned to the business, and then to the credit side of cost of sales because there was no sale, so I can't have a cost of a sale if no sale happened. So that is why we credited the cost of sales account there. And then the only other cost of sales, or transactions that is left over is the cash sales transactions or cash sales from the CRJ, and that is in your sales account the bank CRJ total, and then the trading stock CRJ in your cost of sales, and the cost of sales CRJ in your trading stock records the cash sale or the stock sold for cash in your CRJ. So I hope that makes more sense. Now we're going to look at the debtors ledger individually for C. van der Merwe. Now when we have C. van der Merwe, we have to now look at all the journals together and highlight or find C. van der Merwe's transactions. So this is the highlighted ones I show you here at the bottom. Now the first one or entry here is the account rendered is from the debtors list, and that is your beginning or your opening balance. It is only posted to the balance column because it's only a balance. Then we have to put in our transactions in date order. So the first one we see is on the 4th, and that is the duplicate invoice 46 that was issued, and that's from the debtors journal, 1,087 Rand. Now to get your new balance, you have to add and roll over the balance to a new. So 28,676 plus 1,087 gives you a new balance of 29,763. Then the next transaction is on day 7, where C. van der Merwe paid us with a direct deposit of 21,000 Rand. So yet again, this is CRJ, it's bank statement according to our document number. And remember, that now we have to deduct it because it's a credit entry. So 29,763 minus the 21,850 is equal to the 7,913. And remember, the bank statement amount is always only the receipts column amount or the bank amount. So if you use posting from the alternative method, you need to be very careful and use the bank total and not the debtors control total. Or if it's the standard method like this, you use the receipts amount and the bank figure is the same amount, and that is what you deduct. Then you have to show your discount that you received on the same day. So discount allowed CRJ, and that's the 1,050, which you also will minus from the 7,930 to get a final total of 6,763 Rand. Then there was a transaction of a return, so a credit note 92 was issued. Debtors allowances will minus off the balance, give us a final balance of 6,684 Rand. And then finally, there was a final purchase by Van der Merwe on credit for 3,375, which we'll now have to add to the balance again, giving a final total of 10,059. And that 10,059 will be the total on the debtors list. So you will do exactly the same for the rest of the debtors, Naidu and Zwane as well. And you will highlight their names in the journal and then post to their ledger account. And it works exactly similar or the same as Van der Merwe's account. So I'm not going to do all of their ledger accounts individually. But just know that that final total then is transferred to the debtors list. So you will see here the 10,059 is C. Van der Merwe's final total. And then when you finish, you will see 20,936 for Zwane and 240 for Naidu. And the reason I show the debtors control account at the bottom here is this is how we have our internal control measure, and that the debtors list total must be equal to the balance of the debtors control at the end of the month, so that I know that I've posted totals from journals correctly as well as individual transactions to individual accounts in the debtors list correctly or debtors ledger correctly. So I can see that the balances or the total is equal to the balance brought down. Therefore, I know my posting is correct and I don't have to worry about any internal mistakes. Now, this is the end of this chapter, and in the next chapter we are going to look at what is or are credit purchases in accounting. So what does it mean when we as a business purchase on credit from our suppliers? And that will be in the next chapter. And then after that, we will combine all the journals up to this point and do some activities that you can expect in the June exam. Thank you very much. I hope this makes posting clear and simple for purchases from our debtors or credit sales transactions. And then, as I said, we will continue with credit purchase transactions in the next section. Thank you and have a good day.